Hi, I'm Laura Jane Smith. I'm the director of the Centre for Heritage and Museum Studies, and I'm here today to apparently have a webinar. I've never done this before, so bear with me. So the first thing I want to ask is, can you all hear me? I'm not getting any comments, so I'm assuming you can't hear me. Oh, yep. Okay, terrific. Thanks. I'm also being prompted to tell you that if you have any questions or comments during the webcast, please submit them through the Q&A function, as apparently I won't be able to see them on the chat window. And please do, if you have any questions or comments or concerns at all during what I'm going to be saying, please do feel free to interrupt with questions or comments. Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about, I should introduce myself a little bit first. As I said, I'm the director for the Centre of Heritage and Museum Studies here at the Australian National University. I'm a professor of museum and heritage studies. I work across both museums and heritage, and my primary research concern is to re-theorise ideas about heritage and museum going, so that we construct a more equitable and critical understanding of what it is that heritage and museums does in our society. But I'll talk more about the research we do later on. What I really want to do is talk about the Masters. Also with me here today is a student from the Masters, Kate Wood, who I will introduce to you after the presentation. Okay, so excellent. So if I press here, is that going to lead us on? Right, this one. I'm being told no. There we go. Okay, so as you may have guessed, the Masters of Museums and Heritage Studies is located in the Centre for Heritage and Museum Studies in the School of Archaeology and Anthropology, which sits within the College of Arts and Social Sciences. We offer a graduate certificate, and we offer two versions of the Masters, basically coursework Masters or the Masters in advanced form, which allows you to do a thesis in the last semester of the Masters. Students often do the thesis if they're wishing to transition into PhD study, or students may choose to do the Masters if they want to develop a research portfolio that they want to take into the job market. So, for instance, we have students who have their hearts set on working in a particular museum sector. For example, we have students who want to work in the Australian War Memorial or in natural science museums, who may want to go into that job market saying, look, I have done this major project that has set me up specifically in the area that I want to work in. So students have use that to their advantage. We also have a dual degree with the in arts administration with the University of Indiana. Now, all our master's degrees are 2 years long, but as I will talk to you about in a moment, there are various ways of getting credit in that degree, for that degree. Okay, so our Masters in Museum and Heritage Studies is currently structured around 3 specialisations. So you can specialise in cultural and environmental heritage, museums and collections, or museum and heritage education and interpretation. We are intending to bring on a 4th specialisation in intangible heritage, which we hope will be in existence in 2020. Okay, so what's heritage studies? Heritage, we all assume, or tend to traditionally assume, that heritage are the things, the sites, the places, the artefacts, the historic buildings, the archaeological material that we want to preserve for the future, because it speaks to our sense of the past, it's illustrative of where humans have been, and it's something that is good to preserve. However, in the degree we unpack those assumptions and we attempt to provide a more theoretically critical understanding of actually, is that all that heritage is? What does heritage do? What does it mean to people? And what happens when we as heritage professionals start safeguarding or protecting or preserving or conserving heritage? What does it do for the communities and other holder groups who are in many ways often linked to heritage because it forms part of their identity or part of their sense of place or part of their social or cultural or personal well-being? So in the Masters, with regards to heritage studies, we take the position that heritage is something not dead in the past, but rather something that is vital and alive, and it speaks to people's sense of self, it speaks to their sense of place, their identity and well-being, as I said. And we look at heritage more as we look at the political and the cultural and the social implications of what we do with heritage. So a very important part of the degree is understanding how this stuff is valued, by whom and for what purposes. And in particular within heritage studies, the teachers and academics within the course have particular interests in exploring the idea of intangible heritage, exploring issues of oral histories. We look at the methodologies of oral histories and ethnography, social science, other social science, qualitative methodologies that helps us to engage with communities and stakeholders in understanding how best to safeguard and protect heritage. We also have a particular specialisation and concern with heritage tourism. In the museum specialisation, we look at not only the development and planning and execution of exhibitions, we're also concerned with teaching students with a range of skills to help them deal with collections management, but also, again, important in that part of the degree is an understanding of what it is that we do as museum or curatorial professionals. What are the impacts of what we do in developing exhibitions, in cataloguing and protecting and collecting material? What consequences does that have for understanding both the past and ultimately the present? Because whether we're talking about museums or heritage in general, heritage and museums collections are a way of bringing the past to the present to help us make sense of who we are, who we want to be in the present and the future. Okay, as I noted, the Masters is a 2-year degree, but as I said, there are various pathways into and through the degree, not only through the specialisations, but as this slide is showing you, if you have an undergraduate degree in a related field, that can get you up to 6 months credit into the degree. If you have an honours degree or graduate qualification in a related field, that can get you up to 12 months credit, thus halving, bringing your degree down, the time spent on the Masters to half. Okay, so overall the Masters is 96 credits, 96 units. Most courses are 6 units in length. Most of our courses go through a progression of introductory, then on to transitional and advanced and research courses. Sorry, usually at this point when I'm giving this talk, there are people asking me questions. I'm finding it a little bit intimidating talking to a computer screen. So as I said, if you've got any questions, just leap in through the Q&A section on your screen. An integral part of the Masters program in all of the specialisations is our internship programs. Students can do one or two, or indeed none. They don't have to do any, but we do recommend that students undertake at least one internship during the course. The internships allows you to put into practice some of the theoretical work that you've learnt during the degree. And so we organise internships at a range of institutions, both in Australia and overseas. We have quite extensive relationships with the collecting institutions and the heritage institutions here in Canberra. And in addition to the internships, many of our colleagues in museums and heritage organisations within the ACT, within the Australian Capital Territory, come in and give seminars or lectures or guest lectures as part of various courses. I do have a question, hang on. When applying for the internship courses, is it possible for international students to do this course in Canberra or local institutions? Yes. So the answer to that question is yes, it's possible for international students to either do their internships in Canberra or anywhere else in Australia, or overseas in their home country, or another country. So we often get students who go back for the Australian summer vacation to their home country and do a internship there while they're on break. But we can also, if you have a burning passion to do an internship in the United States or in Europe, we can also organise that both for international and domestic students. Is there any specific criteria of where they can do their internship? No, I mean, we try and match students with their particular interests. So students who have a burning passion to work in a particular type of collecting institutions, we will facilitate that. But no, there is no particular criteria. There is a desire. If you want to do an internship, we organise that for you and try and match the institution to your career aspirations or your particular interests. So if you're interested in natural history museums, we'll find you a natural history museum. If you want to work with historic houses, we'll find you an internship with historic houses, and so on. So the master's degree, the courses within the master's degree are all research-led. All of us academic staff are research active, and indeed in the research assessment exercise here in Australia, the ANU, the research at ANU in heritage and museums is currently ranked #1 in the country. So staff undertake research, as the slide shows, in very broad areas, in museum co-curation, policy and practice and politics of museum displays and exhibition. I myself undertake research in visitors' studies, that is understanding the memory and identity work that visitors do as they go through museums to facilitate and feed back into exhibition design and development. We also are engaged in research in the heritage sector as well. Heritage policy, practice, politics, the development of UNESCO and ICOMOS charters and conventions, and their implementation is a significant research area for staff in the centre. Heritage tourism is another research area alongside intangible heritage. And we undertake research not only in Australia, but in the wider Pacific region, China, Europe and North America. This is a slide of the staff within the centre, and I've just got a question that's been handed to me from Andrew. Is the degree accredited with any associations in the museum and heritage sector? There isn't an accrediting body within the museums and heritage sector in Australia, so the simple answer is no, because there isn't an accreditation process. But as I said, we have very strong and ongoing links with Canberra major Canberra collecting institutions. I think there's another question coming. We work, all of us work with our colleagues in the museums and heritage sector, both in Australia and overseas. So the range of expertise of staff within the centre range from myself. I have a background in both archaeology and anthropology, and I work across both museums and heritage studies. Dr. Adele Chenoweth is a museums professional. She comes out of industry into the Centre for Heritage and Museum Studies and teaches into our specialisation in museums, as does Maya Haviland. Dr. Kate Bowen is our expert in intangible heritage. Dr. Yujie Zhu works in heritage tourism in particular, but also teaches into the heritage and environmental, cultural and environmental heritage specialisation. And Dr. Alexandra Delios is a historian teaching into heritage studies. So I should say that Maya and Yujie are both anthropologists. Adele Chenoweth comes, as I said, comes out of museum studies in particular, and Kate is a musicologist. So we bring a range of different perspectives and understandings to the course. We're all trained in a range of different methodologies social science methodologies that we use to inform our research and to inform our teaching of best practice within curatorial and heritage, within the curatorial and heritage spheres. If there's no immediate questions, I'll hand us over to Kate Wood, who's very kindly agreed to come and talk to you about her experiences in the Masters of Museum and Heritage Studies. Kate, in particular, is well, I'll let Kate explain her particular interests within the realm. Kate.
Oh.
There you are.
Yes, that's me. Yeah, my name's Kate Wood, and my background is, I've been all over the place actually. My undergrad was here at ANU in ancient history and political science, and then I went to University of New England in Australia, not the one in America, and I have a postgrad diploma in zoology, and then I've come back here to ANU, and now I'm doing museum and heritage studies, which I think I finally settled. I'm going to stop here. So I was originally doing the Master of Studies here at ANU, and I've just now applied to transfer into museum and heritage studies when I realised that pretty much all of my classes that I had taken actually fitted into the specific degree. So I thought I would stay where I was enjoying the classes, where I was, where I was getting, obviously where my interest was when I was picking courses sort of from wherever I wanted to, and I was picking them all from one area, so it made sense to stick into that area. So I think I do live in Canberra, so I didn't really, ANU was the obvious place to study, but I think it's the ideal place to be doing a course like this, because it's full of museums, it's full of heritage, and there's such a variety of places. There's there's history museums in the traditional sense, there's political museums here, there's the National Library here, there is where I recently interned at the Australian National Wildlife Collection, which is specimens of skeletons and taxidermy specimens, bird nests. So yeah, there's just such a range of different kinds of museum here that it just makes sense. If you're going to study museum studies, you want to be in a place where you have such an opportunity to visit different kinds of museums. And it means that in terms of the teaching, lecturers have an opportunity to pull from real examples. And when you're studying something, you have the opportunity to, you know, actually easily go to some place where you can see what you're studying put into practice. And I think one of the best things about doing this degree that I have really liked, and I think why I've stuck with it, is because it's such a practical course. Every course I've done has been very practical, and I mean, there's theory as well, but it's very much, you can see how what you're learning, the theory that you're learning about, how it actually applies when you put it into practice in a professional situation. And a lot of the courses have been practical, as well as the internships. I've done classes where, you know, as a class, we put together an exhibition that is going to be public, so people can come and visit it. And that's really, you know, putting you on the spot when you're learning things, but you're learning them with a purpose. And so it's really sticking in your brain what you're learning, because you know you're going to use it. And there's, at the moment, I'm doing a class where we're working with a collection that belongs here at the ANU, and each group is taking a look at a collection and going through the process of deciding what kind of care the collection needs, which is a really good opportunity to use those skills that we've learned in other classes. So I really enjoy the practical element. Is there another question I could answer? I could get one off this sheet.
Sorry, I'm coming back in because there's, let's do this together, Kate. Because I think this question will also be of interest to yourself too. Andrew has, through Facebook, asked what level of employment can a master's graduate expect, and what are the employment opportunities in the cultural sector from doing this degree. In terms of in terms of the internship and the practical courses that you do, I mean, many of our students actually find the internship programs lead them into employment. We recently had a student do an internship in China, that she was a Chinese national, that immediately opened doors for her in terms of getting a job there, and she ended up working for the internship provider. Okay, so in the museums, if you're wanting to work in the museums sector, this is a degree that basically, if you want to work as a curator, you need to do. So there's you know, working with collections, working as curatorial staff in museums. In the heritage area, there is work through heritage consultancy, working for local government, working for amenity societies like the National Trust organisations, and similar societies such as you know, house museums, archaeological consultancy companies, and so on. So there's actually quite a range, and again, also within Australia, working for cultural institutions, keeping places, various, depending on what your interests are. There's a wide range of employment opportunities within the heritage sector. So it's the end of the day. I'm getting a bit tongue-tied.
There are so many different skills that you're learning that there's a real opportunity to kind of get a taste of everything, and to kind of decide what interests you, and there's real support from the staff to kind of continue going in that direction. So, you know, when I started, I was pretty sure I wanted to be working in a kind of education and interpretation area, but now I'm kind of become very interested in conservation, and I found the staff have been very helpful in kind of steering me in that direction and giving me opportunities to decide if that's what I want to do.
Yeah, there are a range of ways that we can help students meet their employment aspirations. I mean, we can, you know, if you're uncertain, then go through the general overall the general program of the master's degree. But if you know, like Kate here, that there are you have particular aspirations or particular interests or passions that you want to follow up on, there are ways of allowing you to hone in and concentrate on those, either through the Master's Advanced, as I talked about before, through doing the thesis, or if you don't want to do that, there are other smaller research courses that allow you to develop a portfolio of material that you can take with you onto the job market, again, to say that here's the ways that I've specialised through my degree that facilitates the job that I really want to get. Kate, question for you.
What's my favourite course thus far? I'm very much enjoying one of the ones that I'm doing now, which is work. It's the first time the course has been run, so we're working with collections within the university, and that's been really interesting. My collection is vertebrate bones, and having the background in zoology, I'm finding that really interesting. Plus, there's a lot of like meticulous cataloguing involved, and I'm very, very interested in spreadsheets and carefully ticking off things. So I'm finding that very exciting, getting to use my spreadsheets. And that's also been good because as a class, everyone's working on very different things, and I really like kind of when we come together as a class, sort of talking to each other and kind of there's like a little bit of problem solving, I guess, where we each talk about what we're doing, and everyone's kind of works as a supportive team for everyone else. And I found in most of my classes actually that everybody's very kind of supportive of one another and really keen to kind of help each other out with where we are. Other courses I've enjoyed, we did one last year where we did design, we put together an exhibition. That was the entirety of the course, and it was a bit scary having like your whole grade pretty much dependent on that one product that you had at the end, and group work, it'd be a little bit scary, but it was really, really good to do, really fun, and really helpful to be going to class each week and being told theoretical things, and having to actually put that into practice rather than just learning theory all the time and not having, I guess it sticks in your head better. It's much, much easier to take on what you've learned when you're immediately applying it to a real situation.
Yeah, I think it's important to stress that we do place a lot of emphasis on developing a critical and analytical understanding of the nature of heritage and museums, and an understanding of what you do does in the real world. But that can only take you so far. It's very important to cement that, as Kate is saying, into the practical. So many of our, we have theoretical courses, we have practical courses, and we have courses that engage both. So yes, it is not an entirely theoretical process that you're learning here. You get to do hands-on work through the internship, through the exhibition design, through developing management plans for heritage sites, engaging with heritage tourism professionals and so on. So there is a range of ways, depending on your interests and which specialisation you're doing, that you can engage with both the theoretical and the practical. But Kate, there's another question. Where do you see yourself in the future?
Oh, I don't know. I would like to work, I guess I love animals and natural history, and I would love to kind of instill that interest in other people. So, education and interpretation is still something I'm interested in, but I've also been doing conservation work, which I have found really interesting, and have enjoyed doing it. Although so I'm kind of thinking about maybe I could go in that direction, although I do have a tremor, so perhaps not the ideal direction for me to be moving in. But then also, I've been very interested in the theoretical side as well. So there's also the option to go further with research. So I really have no idea where I see myself in the future. There's a lot of different areas that I kind of want to go in, and I'm really not sure yet.
Well, the course opens up a lot of opportunities. I mean, we've had students who've gone straight into curatorial work or gone into collections management. We've had students who've gone off and worked for the National Park Service, for local government, students who are moved on to do working in the private sector, students working in heritage tourism. There are a range of opportunities that this master's course can lead you to. But we've also had students who've gone on to do PhDs and then are moving on into academia. Any more questions? Okay. All right. Well, I'm being told this brings us to the end of the session. Oh, hang on. So we have another question. All courses are held in class, or some of them include fieldwork? Some of them do include fieldwork. So we have classes that, again, it depends on the classes. So much of, obviously, the theoretical work is done in classroom, but we have courses that will take you out to, for instance, in the heritage specialisation, you go out to some of the historic sites around Canberra and work up conservation management plans, or work with conservationists on sites around Canberra or up in the national parks around Jindabyne. We also have a tourism course that again takes students out to places in and around Canberra. We've just had a course come back from an intensive course that was held at Broome in Western Australia, where students were working with Indigenous communities on issues of repatriation of human remains. Kate is working in the laboratory in the course that she's been talking about in terms of the collections management and cataloguing and so on. When she did her exhibition course last year, that was held in Canberra Library, in a local library, the exhibition was developed there in a public space. This year it's going to be held on in one of the buildings on campus. It changes every year. Where else? Where else do we?
I think there's one, isn't there a winter intensive where you go out to a lot of the museums?
Yes,
yes,
and New South Wales, Southern and Western New South Wales. I think they went out to Hay this year and up to Cooma and around. Yes, that looks at the interpretation practices of museums around New South Wales and Canberra. So it varies from year to year. But yes, the short answer is yes, some of our classes are held in class. Yes, some of them are held at field sites, and some are a combination of the two, and some are held in the laboratory. And I should note too that some of our classes are semester long in the traditional lecture and tutorial or seminar format, and some of our courses are intensives. That is, that they are held over an intense 5-day period with reading before you come in, and assessment work and so on at the end. And those intensives are generally held at locations off campus, at fieldwork sites. Okay, so I'll give you a moment for any more questions before I sign off. I'd like to thank you for putting up with me for my first webinar. I feel I wasn't entirely coherent all the way through, but I think I'm getting used to the format now. Anyway, I should tell you that the webinar is part of a series that you can find on the ANU website. which is cass.edu.au under news and events. So thank you all for watching. I hope you found the session valuable. If you have further questions that come to you after this event and you want to ask them of me, my email address is Laura Jane, that's laurajane.smith@anu.edu.au, and I'm happy to take questions, further questions, or to send you information should that be useful or relevant to you. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Kate, for coming and participating in this. Thank you. Bye. Bye.